Hey there guys, welcome back to ARTFX Studios, and we're here. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do the second Tutorial Tuesday season. And this is gonna be about glitch hop. Now, some of you guys might think, what is glitch hop? Well, to give you a brief demonstration of how glitch hop sounds, it's a swinging kind of beat with a little bit of a funky touch. So it sounds something like, let's see if I can do this. Well, that's about it. Now, you could hear that sounded a little bit of funky and it was swinging. That is because there's a groove in there, and I'm gonna explain that in the upcoming videos. And so yeah, to start off, you can see I've got a drum rack right here. This drum rack is completely empty. There's nothing in it. And I'm gonna use this. I've basically just set it up. I've already thought about what samples I'm gonna use, because I want to save you guys from having me browsing through my sample library for the coming hour. You know, I don't want to make this video that long. So I've got a drum rack, and I'm gonna set this drum rack up, and I'm gonna call this track drums, like that. Yeah, I've got this track set up, call it drums. I've also got an audio track. Now, this audio track is not gonna be used, actually. I might use it if I need to fade out a sample before I'm gonna drag it into a drum rack, because it will save the fade out of the sample. So if a sample is too long and you wanna make a nice fade out, do it that way. I'm also gonna use drum racks again. I told most of you guys I work in audio now, but for glitch hop I work in drum racks, and I'm gonna explain to you why I do that. Then I've got two MIDI tracks with two MIDI clips in here, and these already have notes in there, but I'm gonna talk about that later. So in this first video, I want to talk about the kick drum. So we're gonna make a kick drum, and I've got two samples that I've wanted to use. So to start off, I don't want to see any comments below this video. Dude, can you send me the samples or whatever, because the point of this video is not me giving you samples so that you can make the exact same thing as I'm gonna be making in a second, but you have to be able to go into your sample library and search through your samples for samples that sound good together. And this might be very difficult in the beginning, but let's see, when you do this more and more, you're gonna get more used to it. And when you get more used to it, you're gonna be faster at it. So it's just a matter of practicing this technique to get better at it. And it's gonna be hard at first, but the more you do it, the easier it's gonna get. So sample selection is a really, really important thing, and that's why I want you to do it yourself and not get a set of samples from me and just use that, because you're not gonna learn anything from that, right? So let's start off. If you don't have the sample pack that I'm gonna use, you don't have to buy this sample pack because I'm using it. You know, you can use whatever sample pack you have if these samples are high quality. I mean, the samples need to sound good and clean to begin with, otherwise you're only gonna make it harder for yourself. Now, if you don't have good samples and you are willing to buy this pack, go to the Loopmasters website, because at Loopmasters they sell this pack that I'm gonna use. I'll put a link up in the description box below this video, with which you can go to the website of Loop Masters and buy this pack. It's not that expensive, it's a really good pack and you get a lot. So the pack that I'm gonna use is the Thomas Pendon Essential series. It basically consists of 3 packs in one. You can buy them separately, you can buy them all in one. Now I would advise to buy them all in one because, you know, it's when you've got all 3, it's such a good pack because it's so complete and basically everything you're gonna need in terms of drums is in there. So the first one is one-shot hits of everything you might need in your drum section. The second one is more filled with loops and sound effects, which is useful too. You know, I like using loops every now and then. It can add a little bit of a different touch to your drums. So it's definitely a great thing to use. And the third one is another one with one-shots, and it does have a couple of loops in there, but most of it is just one-shots. So to start off with, let's load up the kick drum that I want to use. So I've already thought about this and I've already looked through these samples, and I found out that the kick 160 is a kick that I definitely want to use. So that kick sounds like this. Now that's a pretty powerful kick drum already, but it's, you know, basically a very simple kick drum. But it's ready to be used in a track, definitely. Then I've got another sound that I want to layer on top of the kick drum, because this kick drum it's good, you know, it's good, definitely, but I can do so much more to it. So first of all, I'm gonna EQ this kick drum, and that's great about the new EQ 8 in Ableton Live 9, is that it has that nice frequency analyzer built in. It's really great. You can toggle it to come out and you can exactly see where your kick is peaking. So if I play this kick, we can see that it definitely peaks around 100 Hertz. And there's a nice low end going on too. So I'm gonna try to make it a little bit bigger by adding a little bit more highs and maybe cut away some of the mids. Just very slightly, you know, because the mids are going to be used mostly for other sounds, so you want to clean that space up a little bit. Now, you know, with these Q settings, you can basically narrow this down or make it wider. So I would narrow it down a little bit more like that. Maybe take out some more of the low mids. Yeah, that definitely sounds better. So now we've already gone from this. Wait, let me just put in a couple of notes so we can actually hear what's going on. By the way, the tempo for Glitch Up is 110 beats per minute, so set your tempo to around 110. Could be 100 or 105, 115 maybe, but I like it at 110. So this is the kick drum. And now I'm gonna add that EQ that I just made, and I want you to listen closely to what happens to the sounds, especially to the mid-range in this kick drum. You see, I cleaned up the low mids. I basically took out some of the mud that was in there, and it really helps to make the kick drum a little bit clearer. So now I want to go into that same sample pack again, and I want to go to the percussion group. So close down the kicks, and let's see. I'm gonna go to the Thomas Pendon Essential Series 1, and I'm gonna go to the percussion group, and to the Percussion Various group. Now, this group contains all kinds of various percussion sounds, I mean, see, like that. But I'm gonna use this one, which is the Various 12. It's basically just a clicking sound, and you can make this with a sine wave in a synth and have a really fast envelope connected to a filter, a low pass filter with a lot of resonance, and drop it down really fast. So that will give you that clicking sound. Now, I'm not gonna make that, you know, I have this sample, but if you would, you could make it yourself. But basically, I just needed to find a sample that was gonna make this kick drum fatter than it already was, and this was the perfect sound for this kick drum. Now, if you're using a different kick drum, you're most likely gonna use a different kind of sound to layer on top of the kick to make it better, because not every sound works with every sound. That being said, let's drag this into the drum rack. So this percussion sound, if I solo it and copy these notes over to there, you can hear there's a lot of low end in this particular sample, and I don't want to, you know, use that low end. I don't think that low end is what I want to use from this kick drum, so I'm gonna take a high pass and I'm gonna bring it down a little bit, so you're gonna get a little bit more of a higher kind of clicking sound. Now listen when I first take down the volume. Now I'm gonna play the kick drum and I'm gonna blend in this percussion sound and listen to it, how it fattens up the kick. So we moved from this to this. And I can, you know, add in some more low mids to that clicking sound to make it better. I think that works well. Now for the kick itself, you know, I could maybe take down the sustain a little bit. I do this to basically just control the overall volume of the kick drum. I mean, the first part of the kick is going to be the same. It's going to be the same volume, whatever I would do, except when I would add some attack. But when I don't add the attack, the decay is basically the time it takes to go from the maximum volume in the attack to the lower volume, that is the sustain, which is set to minus 4.4. So it's going to go from probably 0 dB, because this kick is probably peaking at 0 dB, and it's going down to minus 4.4 dB in 832 milliseconds, which is the decay. So that way you can control the kick drum a little bit, because I think the tail section of this kick is quite loud and that low end is really boomy, so doing this helps a little bit. Now, I add in these two sounds and you can hear that it really makes a difference by just adding in that percussion sound. Now, another thing you could do, which is quite interesting, is layer a hi-hat in your kick drum. That hi-hat will give it a little bit more of high frequencies. So let me search for a good hi-hat, and I think closed hi-hats are really useful for this kind of sound. So now you just need to find one that sounds good. I think that one sounds pretty okay. So, it's a pretty simple one, but I drop it in there. I'm gonna put an EQ on the hi-hat, and I'm gonna take out all of the low end, because in hi-hats there's quite some low end. I don't know if you see that, but look, I don't need everything that's below 1K, so I could just add in a high pass and set that to about 1K, and that sounds like that, much better. And then with the kick, so now I made from this kick, it's a very simple technique, but it's still, it works, you know. This kick is quite heavy already. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a compressor to this kick. Let's bring up the attack time a little bit to about 7 probably. Bring the threshold down a little bit to about -17 or something like that. Let's see how this sounds. Now you can see I'm peaking very, very loud over here, so I'm gonna take off the makeup gain, which is gonna give us a little bit more of that volume back. So now I'm still peaking, by the way, but I don't really care about that at this point. Let's bring down the threshold a little bit further. Okay, so I think this sounds pretty okay. Now I'm gonna add a saturator to this. Now that saturator basically does nothing more than driving the volume a little bit, and it will clip the output so that nothing exceeds 0 dB. So basically, this entire thing that before, when I turn it off, it's clipping. And then I turn it on, and it stays below that 0 dB. Which is really, really helpful. And the sound doesn't really change that much. It just adds a little bit of saturation. Which is good, because we're making electronic music, and loud electronic music in particular. So having that saturator, just adding that little bit of distortion, is nothing that you have to be afraid of. It can actually help make your track fatter. So yeah, that's it for the kick, I guess. I think this kick sounds pretty good. Let's call this drum rack Kickdrum. And the compressor and saturator are not really needed that much at this point. So I'm gonna turn these off for now, or let's just totally take them out. And we're just gonna keep on going with that. So that was it for the first video in ARTFX Tutorial Tuesday Season 2 Glitch Hop. We talked about this kick drum. Next week I'm gonna talk about the snare drum. I'm gonna make that typical Koan Sound glitch hop snare drum that everyone wants to make. If you have any questions regarding this video, click the bottom left to tweet them at ARTFX Studios, or click the bottom right to go to my forum or my website, register there and post your music on the forum. I'll try to give you feedback. Other members will most likely give you feedback as well, and you might make some new friends and have a little bit of fun. I hope you're gonna tune in next week. Let me know in the comments what you think about the video, or what you want to see in upcoming videos. And thank you for watching. See you next week.